Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Enthusiasm by Paula Schulman, narrated by Jenny Ikeda.
Chapter 1. We meet the enthusiast. True love beckons. A mysterious stranger. Ashley's plan. There is little more likely to exasperate a person of sense than finding herself tied by affection and habit to an enthusiast. I speak from bitter experience. My best friend and next-door neighbor, Ashley Marie Rossi, is an enthusiast. All last summer, Ashley was mad for the wet blankets. On the day they released their new album, she insisted that I accompany her to Outer Music, where they had advertised free tickets for a blankets concert in the city. We started at 10 o'clock in the morning, the break of dawn, Ashley time. Ash, I objected. They said they won't give out tickets till midnight. What are we going to do for 14 hours? You don't want to be stuck at the end of the line, do you? Don't worry, I packed lunch. Here, take one of these, she said, hauling a large woolen blanket out of her closet and dumping it in my arms. What's this for? It's about 1,000,000 degrees out there. We'll be sitting in the sun. That's why we're bringing these. She flourished 2 5-liter bottles of mineral water. Wet blankets. Get it? We'll be appropriately dressed, and they'll keep us cool through the process of evaporation. She opened one of the bottles and reached out to splash me with the water. Ash, you freak, get away! Stop it! I'm not sitting around in the middle of town with my clothes soaked. With difficulty, I persuaded her to recap the water bottle, but nothing would convince her to leave the blankets behind. At Outer Music, we spread them on the sidewalk and sat down to wait. People looked at us strangely as they went in and out of the store, and I hid my face in my book, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. At 6 o'clock, just as I reached the exciting proposal scene, Ashley's dad arrived with sandwiches. At 9, other wet blanket fans began lining up behind us. Ashley's blankets came in handy after all, when the skies opened in a cloudburst around 11. Overjoyed to find that fate had cooperated with her planned pun, she invited her co-fans to seek shelter with us under the blankets. This sort of behavior was nothing new for Ashley. All through elementary school, her crazes kept me in constant flame of embarrassment. After she read the Little House books, it was all I could do to stop her from wearing her flowered flannel nightgown to the mall. During her Harriet the Spy period, which coincided with my parents' breakup when we were 11, I had to confiscate 2 of her notebooks to keep them from falling into the hands of the divorce lawyers. When King Arthur ruled supreme in her heart, she thee'd and thou'd everyone from teachers to bus drivers. But although our classmates considered Ashley weird back then, they respected her for her courage and inventiveness. Nothing ever embarrassed Ashley. Teasing her was pointless, since nobody could make her cry. Some of her reputation for oddness rubbed off on me, but so did some of her oddball prestige. Hanging out with Ashley in elementary school stopped just short of social suicide. High school, though, was another matter. By then, her ability to ignore giggles and stares had become less an asset than a liability. Oh, we still had plenty of friends, girls like Emily Meehan and the Gerard twins. But if Ash pulled any more stunts like that time freshman year when she borrowed Michelle Jeffrey's handbag for a juggling trick and spilled the contents, including a selection of feminine hygiene products, I feared for our social standing among the girls. And as for guys, well, That was too painful to bear thinking about. One hot afternoon, about a month after the wet blankets incident, I sat by my window peeling my sunburn and considering the coming school year. Although Ashley did tend to get carried away, the wet blankets was a perfectly respectable interest for a Byzantium High sophomore. If only it would last through the vital first few weeks of school. Could I possibly be so lucky? Evidently not. A rap on my window pane interrupted me in the middle of removing a satisfyingly large patch of skin. Looking up, I saw the enthusiast herself perched outside my window. For reasons of convenience and privacy, Ashley and I exchange visits by way of the oak tree, whose branches graze both our bedroom windows, rather than by the doors. She was wearing a long black garment that caught on the twigs. I recognized it as a robe from last year's freshman chorus. "Miss Lefkowitz! Miss Lefkowitz! My dear Miss Lefkowitz!" she called. I hauled the window open wide. "What's all the miss stuff?" I said. "You're not starting on an etiquette craze, are you?" Ashley shot me her second favorite expression, reproach tinged with disgust. Her favorite is the mad gleam. "Etiquette?" she cried. "I hope I always conduct myself as befits a young lady. But, my dear Miss Lefkowitz, why did you wait so long before introducing me to the joys of Miss Austen's work? Elizabeth Bennet? Jane Bennet? The incomparable Mr. Darcy?" She waved my copy of Pride and Prejudice at me, dislodging baby acorns and a leaf or two. My heart sank. How many weeks of antiquated grammar were we in for now? And it was my own fault, too. While Ashley bounced around the room, knocking things over with her skirts and raving about Austen's heroines and the gentlemen they loved, I considered my situation. Always before, Ashley had started a craze and I had followed. Now, for the first time, I had taken the lead, introducing her to an interest of my own. But how long would it be before her passion overshadowed mine? Would she take over my favorite books, leaving nothing for me? I was convinced that I felt as strongly about Jane Austen's books as Ashley had ever felt about any of her crazes, but my love was deep and silent, and therefore easily overshadowed. I would never, for example, speak Jane Austen's language. That would be undignified and unworthy of the writer I adored. Rescuing my clock radio, which had tumbled off my nightstand and was hanging by its cord, I told myself sternly not to be so ungenerous. Ashley never hesitated to share her interests with me. If only! No, she always insisted on dragging me in, however boring or unpleasant I might find them. Military strategy? Ballet? Ick! No thanks. Although I did rather enjoy candy making and reptiles. The only time Ash let me wiggle out of a craze was when she knew I couldn't afford it. And when that happened, she gave it up herself, generous girl that she was. She squelched a growing passion for horses, for example, because my mother couldn't pay for riding lessons after my parents' divorce. And Ashley's generosity didn't stop there. Whenever her crazes got me in trouble, like the time I ruined my father's barbecue tools digging military trenches in the lawn, she devoted her savings and countless Saturdays to repairing the damage. As I contemplated my pettiness, Ashley startled me with an emphatic bounce. She's always bouncing with excitement, and when she bounces, she bounces, particularly in the past year or so. For my part, I barely jiggle, no matter how vigorously I move. And I believe I know where to find them, she cried. Where to find what? I asked. Ashley gave me her "you're not listening" look, a variant on the ever-popular disgusted reproach. Not what? Who? Our heroes. What good is a heroine without a hero? From what I remember of freshman year, we will be hard-pressed to find even a single gallant at Byzantium High. I despair of finding a pair of them there. But fortunately, I have decided